What's going on? It's Big A the Man Geek, and there's something I need to share with you. A little secret that I have, which I've not told anyone, just because really it's nobody's business. And that secret is, I'm Wakandan. I'm actually half Wakandan, to be precise, on my mother's side. And I feel really proud about my heritage and my roots, and I love where I'm from. I love that we've got flying cars, advanced technology that no one else has got. And I love my culture. I think it's a great part of my identity and who I am, as well as obviously my other kind of culture, because I suppose I have more than one in a way, growing up in the West, but having Wakanda as well. And then obviously my dad's side of the family, which isn't Wakandan, but he's African. So, you know, there's a whole host of things that kind of make me up as an individual. So, for that reason, I'm going to kind of focus on my Wakandan side, and I'm going to do a review of Who is the Black Panther by Reginald Hudlin. Enjoy. Of this book is that Claw wants to essentially take over Wakanda, so he invades with a crew of people that he puts together, kind of like a ragtag team, so to speak. And T'Challa, being king, has to defend his country and his people, and he does so in a manner that is completely 100% defiant. It is quintessential T'Challa. Now, although the story is quite simple, or even the premise rather, it is kind of multi-pronged. There are multiple stories going on at once. So there's other things in there, like we see the history of the Black Panther lineage down the line. We also see the moment in which T'Challa becomes the Black Panther. We see T'Chaka being assassinated as well. So the premise, although simple, it throws in many other things from the Black Panther mythology into the book, and it's a good place for people to start if they don't know anything about Black Panther and they want to know some stuff before the movie comes out in February of 2018. I suggest definitely getting this book, because it'll fill you in on all the basics you need to know, quite basically, in order to kind of enjoy the character and enjoy the movie and have a bit of knowledge at the same time. There isn't a hell of a lot of character development. I mean, the characters are kind of 2D, pretty much everyone, because there's so much going on. There isn't a lot of time to really focus on any one specific individual. Essentially, we're just given scenes as to where it's super obvious what a character is about, because we can just tell by what they're saying. So obviously we know Claw's evil because of the way he talks about things and how he dislikes the Black Panther, and how kind of like he wants to take over. That's pretty much it. Like, there's nothing else more than that we need to know. He wants revenge, and that's what he's going for. With T'Challa, he wants to defend his country, he wants to protect it, and he will do so by any means necessary. And with all the other characters in the story as well, everything's very clear and clean cut. That's not necessarily a negative though, because it means that we can move on and get on to better things and enjoy the action as it comes to us. But overall, kind of like, there's quite a few different characters in it. I'd say, again, most of them are side characters, not in a bad kind of way, but most of them are. But they all have their parts to play, because there's loads of people playing different parts in different little schemes that are going on. So although they're 2D, it actually does work out quite well in regards to the amount of characters that there are and how easy we're able to understand their motivations and their actions. writing is clear and concise, and it's pretty much on point. People say what they mean, and they mean what they say. Dialogue-wise, I was pretty happy with everything that went on in the book. I haven't read it in a while, but I do remember it quite clearly, and I flicked through it as well. And yeah, again, everything just seemed fine and dandy to me. Like I said earlier, there is a lot going on in this book. There are flashbacks to various important events that took place in the past, and it does it well. It does it in a way where it feels organic. Everything feels organic in this book. Like, nothing feels like it's being told just for the sake of it. So things like the flashbacks come in well, they fill you in. This is why it's a good book for new readers who aren't familiar with T'Challa, the Black Panther. And it's one of its strengths. I'd definitely say it's a pretty good strength of the book, that the writing does tell a really cool story, an invasion story, and also fill you in on what you need to know. And it's to how those flashbacks kind of relate to the lineage of the Black Panther. The events that take place totally make sense as well. Like, the American government wanting to get involved with a whole army of Deathlock soldiers is a pretty interesting concept, because Wakanda is kind of like a threat to the world without it actually being a threat, because people don't know like what they're up to, what they're capable of, and like the US government wanted to find out, so that's why you've got the Deathlocks in the story. And it's quite interesting because, like I said, there's loads of different things going on, and they're all pretty much evenly spread out throughout the book. So you get to see all these different things and how they connect to the main story. You even get the Nagandans in there as well involved, so you can see as to how much Wakanda are even resented by their neighboring country. The writing in this book is just good at just telling the story, nothing more than that. I mean, I can't even really, perhaps, maybe there are a few little things in regards to kind of race and culture in there, but they're tiny spatterings, and they're not, you know, hitting you in the face with a hammer. Like, they are quite subtle, and it's not passing judgment against anyone, so it's not going to make anyone feel a certain way. It's just telling the story, and then these kind of ideas are in there, but you're not being talked down to or anything like that. So that's why I like the writing in this book. I actually think it's really strong and really good. The art is by John Romita Jr. Now, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. I mean, his style, I can only describe it as feeling quite square and flat. I don't know if anyone like kind of would agree with that assessment, but that's how I describe it. Some people won't really like that style. It's quite kind of simplistic in terms of shape. It's not very real looking, if you get what I'm saying. But I think it does quite work for this book quite well. I think the colours are great as well, especially for when they're in Wakanda. You've got kind of like the warm, kind of yellowy brown, orangey tones to it. I think that works really well. And yeah, overall the art I'm satisfied with. It's definitely not the most amazing stuff I've ever seen, but for this book I think it works. But that's just my, subjective opinion. Yours may differ. You may not like the art as much as I do, but I think it definitely does its thing. It's also really good at depicting kind of the tribal and technological aspects of Wakanda and combining the two. And it's another one of the things in the book that feels organic. It feels like it makes sense, like they've mixed their technology and their tribal culture into one, and it complements the look of everything. And it's really cool to see. I think this is one of the many things that this book does right, that the current run is kind of lacking, in my opinion. I think this is definitely a better place to start with Black Panther than the current run is. This book got a pretty good reception upon release. Some people think it's kind of too easy for T'Challa in this story, for everything that he comes up against. It's like too much. He's just too successful at what he does. I happen to kind of disagree. I think, like I said, this book is a really good jumping off point for someone who has no idea about Black Panther. I'd advise getting it. I mean, it was adapted also into a animated TV show for BET. I believe they showed a few episodes and then it was pulled from the air for some reason. But you can still find the Blu-ray and DVD online. I think Amazon still have it. So it's a little bit different. They changed it a tiny bit with a few of the characters, but definitely pick it up if you can. But I'd definitely pick up the book before picking that up. But my conclusion is, it's a good book. I'd rather have Black Panther be like this than what he currently is. I don't know what's going to go on with the whole Bast thing that they introduced in Marvel Legacy, but we'll find out. I mean, my problem with the current run is there's loads of like boardroom kind of council kind of stuff, and then when you see a battle, it will look like it's taking place in like 6 square meters, and that's it. Like, I felt this had scope and scale, and there was a bigness to it, and it just felt like whatever was going on actually mattered to the wider world in terms of taking place in the Marvel Universe. I mean, we get to see so much, there's tons of action, there's tons of story. The only negative I'd say is that the ending does seem a little rushed to me, and there were things put into place that I think follow through in the next arc. But like I've said many times already, definitely pick up this book if you're brand new to Black Panther and you just want to know the basics, because it won't bamboozle you. It's not like a mad story that, you know, goes on about history, about things that took place long before either you or I were born. No, it's all here. Everything is within the book that you need to know, and anything that you don't know, it will teach you along the way. This has got like war room and boardroom meetings too, like the current run, but they just mean so much more in here. Like, they actually mean something. Like, they take place when something's happening. Like, they've got this really cool kind of like advanced technological war room, and like all these computers and stuff is happening. That's the difference between this run and the current run. Stuff is happening, and it's happening at speed as well. So you're there reading it and you're going through it quick because you want to know what happens, and tensions rise and it's building and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, my conclusion is this is a good book. It's not the most amazing thing you've ever read, but it's a really good starting point, like I've said multiple times already. So I definitely think you should pick it up if you're looking for some Black Panther.
Come out! The Black Panther is ready for you!
So that's my review of Black Panther, Who is the Black Panther, by Reginald Hudlin and John Romita Jr. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.